Hey, Coach. I guess just start off. How much did you kind of catch yourself taking an extra glance at how the young secondary guys were doing, and kind of what was your take today?
We get to watch those. I get to see those young secondary guys every day. So I feel like today was no different. We got to challenge them in terms of the coverage situations we put them in. A lot of them, it was their first real live action, with LC out there playing some corner and Allen and Keeley. I mean, just a lot of young guys that haven't played a lot of college football. They played a lot of football, and they're good football players. But we're a long way from being ready in terms of what we need to do in the secondary, because we just got a lot of inexperienced players. We cannot have enough of those situations, scrimmage, passing, all the different looks we get, because we need the experience.
Kirby, kind of the buzz out of the scrimmages, Arian Smith may have gone down with an injury. Can you update us on that? And Jermaine Burton as well, kind of what those guys are looking like.
Yeah. You guys got to do your job, but y'all certainly overreact to a lot of things. I was really disappointed at the way everything was handled. Jermaine Burton is fine. He has no structural damage. He was out there today doing exercises, doing conditioning, doing different things. Jermaine Burton's going to be fine. And for anybody to report the length of time he's going to be out, that's really unfair, because if our doctor and our team doctors don't know that, I don't know how anybody else would, because they would have seen the MRI, they would have seen the x-rays, and there's nobody else that has seen that. So it's unfair to put misinformation out there for sure. And then with Arian today, he sprained his wrist and he should be fine. So, I mean, I don't know if he'll be back Monday. I don't know that. We're still doing the x-rays, but I know he sprained his wrist. So let's don't have a lot of overreaction, if you don't mind. And hey, you ask me, I tell you, Jermaine hyperextended his knee. He's day to day. That's what it is. It's not anything past that. But I don't think that we should sensationalize the other things, because it's all part of football. I mean, we had other guys get injured today, and it's a lot bigger deal when everybody writes about, a receiver, another receiver's hurt. Receivers are going to be fine.
All right, let's go to Dean Legge and then to Mark Weiser.
Kirby, how was the offensive line today, generally speaking, protection and the run game?
It was okay. Not where we need to be. We're still moving some parts around, but certainly got work to do to get where we need to get. Got some young guys out there trying to play. And, when you do situational football, it's really hard to evaluate, because you do 8 third downs in a row. You'll never do that in real life. During Move the Field, we were able to move the ball at times, and then had a couple turnovers in the red area, and defense gave up some big plays, but then they played well in the red area at times. So kind of went both ways.
Kirby, what's the competition like at quarterback behind JT? Is Stetson clearly the number 2, or how much are Carson and Brock pushing him? What's their progress?
All 3 of those guys are getting reps, and all 3 of them are going to be really good players.
Can you elaborate a little bit more on that?
Yeah, all 3 of them are getting reps, and all 3 of them are going to be really good players. They continue to work hard. They all got reps today. I think each one has a different strength, and each one has a different weakness. For each one, they're growing. Brock has the least amount of reps and, I guess, familiarity with the offense. So his learning curve is greater, but he's also picking it up quick, especially for a mid-year freshman. Stetson does a good job in the pocket. He moves. He's athletic. He understands the offense. He can do things with his brain, because he's taking a lot of reps. And then Carson's done a good job this spring.
Thank you.
Now let's go to Seth Emerson and then Brandon Sudge.
Kirby, with the cornerbacks, are you throwing guys like Green and Ringo out there and just seeing what they can do just as much as you can?
Well, I mean, everybody gets reps, right? All the corners we have working. I think we got 6 corners or something working. So we don't have any corners that have experience. So I look at it as all of them are getting reps, and all of them are getting better. And the good thing is we get to challenge them in passing situations. And, you can have a corner play a whole game and him not be involved in a play if everything goes away, or they stop the run, and, one play may affect you out of 60. Well, we try to make more plays than that, attack those guys, so that we get to play one-on-one in the perimeter, which is the hardest thing to do probably in all of college football, is covering people one-on-one on the perimeter, and that's what the corners have to do. So we're getting all those guys lots of reps.
Hey, Kirby, a question kind of away from football, but I saw that the other day you got the COVID vaccine. I mean, did you also kind of do that as an example for your players? How are you guys educating everybody on the vaccine and allowing them to get the vaccine if they wish to have it?
Yeah, Ron and the athletic training staff has done a tremendous job educating our entire athletic department. And we've had the ability as coaches to get the vaccine, which we think is important, and our players will have the ability to do that well moving forward. We'd like to get through spring to be able to do that. There's some benefits, some incentives that they've laid out with not having to test, not having to contact trace if you get the vaccine. Ron and his staff's doing a great job of bringing in people familiar with the vaccines and a very good understanding, the doctors that can talk to our team and educate them on the benefit for really their families, for the group as a whole, and safety purposes. So we're trying to encourage that.
All right, let's go to Mike Griffith, and then we'll go to Henry Queen.
Sorry, I was off mute there. Hey, Kirby, how much can you really work on the run game early in spring? I know that you guys try to don't try to have too much contact, get guys beat up, but is that something you'll focus on later? Was today mostly pass?
No, I would not say that. It was we had really good run situations. I mean, I don't know how many times we rushed it total. It was a lot, but I mean, there's a lot of snaps. It's 130 snaps. So the passing situation is obviously third down and 2 minute, but the rest of the scrimmage is call it like you see it, and we called it, and we got backs, we got good backs. They get to go out there and carry the ball and run it. And we did that, so that was a chance for us to run the ball is important. I think it's an important thing to do. So we're not sitting here saying you got to run it 25%, 50%, 70%. You got to run it to win the game, and you got to throw it to win the game. So we worked on both those things today.
Hey Kirby, any other major takeaways from this scrimmage? And looking back on the 15 practices, were you able to accomplish what you accomplished? Also, in light of the fact that you didn't even have spring practice last year.
Yeah, the only thing I would take away from the scrimmage, I was pleased with the energy. You know, we made some arrows. A lot of guys, I mean, 16 mid-years out there, they were a little nervous. You know, there's some anxiety there, but I thought the energy was good on both sides of the ball, meaning when somebody made a play, there was enthusiasm. There was more connection out there, not guys going through the motions, which can happen sometimes in the spring. That wasn't the case today. I thought there was positive energy towards people making plays, which is important to me right now. And in terms of getting things done, I think what do we got? I think it was practice maybe 9. I think we got 6 left. So we're not where we need to be yet.
All right, let's go to Vance Levy, and then we'll go to Connor Riley.
Kirby, I know yards after catch is always a priority. How are the backs and the receivers done, not only today, but throughout spring? And then are there any of those mid-year guys that you're willing to say have been doing really well?
No, there's really not anybody I'm willing to say is doing really well, because I think it's hard to do really well as a mid-year. I mean, really well to me as a starter, and that's hard to do as a mid-year. So are they improving? Yes. Are they going to be good players? Yes. Are they there yet? No. As far as yards after catch and yards after contact, we track it on defense. We track it on offense. It's what makes you successful. Hard to measure in practice because, we don't tackle, and trying to keep football as safe as possible. So it's harder to track those numbers when you're not really live tackling.
Hey, Kirby, in the past, you've talked a lot about how important for high school recruits that senior year is. And one of your mid-year guys, Brock Bowers, didn't get a chance to have a senior year playing out in California. How, if any, has his development been impacted by the lack of that spring? And I know you just touched a little bit on mid-years, but what have you seen from him so far?
A talented guy. He's bright. He's learning quickly. He's physically gifted with some speed and burst and great hands. We got a ways to go in the blocking game in terms of the run game, but that's something he's going to develop because he has toughness. He's going to continue to work in the weight room to get stronger and do some things, but he can do things with the ball in his hands, and he's a good athlete. So, well, this kid lined up at tailback in high school and made plays, so he's used to carrying the ball.
All right, we've got a little time left. Let's open up to anybody who wants to jump in. Follow-up questions?
Hey, Kirby, this offseason, there was a lot of talk and action by you and your team, surrounding social issues. Just curious how you've been able to process, the past couple of days, especially as, the new voting laws crossed into the sports world with, the MLB All-Star game getting moved out of Atlanta. Just how have you been able to process the past couple of days?
Yeah, we still have our skull sessions where we try to connect as a unit, and we rotate those groups and rotate coaches within them. And that's a safe space where we feel like our kids can talk and be open with us and tell us how they're playing. I can't say in the ones that I've been in, I don't get to sit in all of them, that those topics have always come up. But certainly if they do, we address them with our kids and allow them to voice how they feel and maybe how it affects them personally, whether it affects them with their family or whatever. And we've been consistent with that and that messaging.
And do you think that that's helped? I mean, I think that's a relatively new thing, and you've been around the game so long, opening up about things that aren't football related like that.
Yeah, I think it always helps. I don't think we do enough. I mean, I think that there should be, more time dedicated to that, to our players. I think it helps mental health in general. And I think when you look at the mental health of the student athlete, it's probably one of the most different things that you have to deal with now in coaching. When 10 years ago, I'm not saying it wasn't present, but I don't know that we addressed it as much as we do now. And certainly, a lot of our players struggle day to day with things like COVID, things going on in the world, things going on at home. And we just want them to feel comfortable being able to talk about whatever the topic is.
Kirby, I wanted to ask you about Jalen Kimber. I know we hear a lot about Keeley. He's obviously a highly rated guy that's done well. How's Kimber coming along, and can you give us some insight into what he did today?
Kimber's very bright. He was able to practice all last year, which, the practice you get from the year before, people just forget about. Like you mentioned Keeley, and Keeley hasn't practiced. So he really hasn't done anything in terms of earning the reputation that he came in with. He's in the process of doing that. He's trying to do that through working hard and learning, and he stayed really engaged. But Jalen Kimber was able to go out and actually take reps and work last year, which, gives you an advantage because you've seen things, you've heard calls, and you have to adjust. Biggest thing with Jalen is continuing to work really hard with the nutrition and weight room to keep adding size. And he's conscious of that. He understands what he has to do to be a great player, and he's committed to doing that.
Kirby, who won today? And then also you've said the defense, continues to show their youthfulness. Who is the field general on the defense right now?
Well, Nakobe's the field general. He's not out there, so you say, who is it? It's done by committee. It's, when you don't have a really good player out there, it allows other people to step up. I thought Nolan had great energy today. I can't say how he played. He had great energy. He was present. Trevon, really good energy. And really played hard, but nobody won today. Today, you want to say Georgia won, but I got to go back and watch the tape to be able to answer that. It's always hard in a scrimmage. Nobody wins and loses because offense makes plays and defense makes plays. And special teams, we had a lot of kicking situations we get to find out about.
Hey, Kirby, I wanted to see your inside linebackers. Nakobe Dean had the surgery, and then you got, Tresman Marshall, I think, was injured last year. What are your numbers like there, and is it offering some guys a chance to kind of step up and show what they can do?
Well, Nakobe still takes walkthrough reps. He takes every mental rep. I've never had a player probably in all my career coaching that was more engaged. You have to stay on certain guys when they're injured to stay engaged. Nakobe's calling things out. Like he's playing linebacker every play and making the call from the sideline. You can hear him. He's engaged. He's on top of it. And plus he gets reps in individual and walkthrough. So I feel good about the work he's putting in. Tresman has been getting reps. Tresman's out there practicing, doing everything he can. He was able to get his surgery a little bit earlier than Nakobe. And then the other guys, Quay's practicing a lot. Channing Tyndall's practicing a lot. Ryan Davis, John Staten. There are a lot of guys out there working at inside backer.
Hey, Coach. I read a little bit about the 1996 G-Day that was played at Clark Central due to the Olympics, and if I'm not mistaken, you had 2 picks in that game, one of which you ran in for a touchdown. So, can you recall anything about that experience of moving the game to a new location, and what was that like from a player perspective?
I really don't remember much. I remember having to get on a bus and go to Clark Central, and I remember scrimmaging there, but I don't remember the 2 interceptions, and definitely don't remember one in for a touchdown. So that must have been against Bobo, because he's the only one that would throw one to me.
Hey, Coach, is there anything different about the way JT is kind of going about his business now that he, for all intents and purposes, knows he's going to be the starting quarterback?
I wouldn't say different. JT's always been about his business. That's JT. JT's very serious. He's very into it. He has growth he can go through, and for him, continuity is important. And we haven't had great continuity with this back out, that receiver out, he's out. So we've been ping ponging guys around. That's always tough. But I think he's asserted himself more in terms of command of the offense. Get the signal, get the call, hurry up, let's go. Oh, we're too late for this motion. We got to get into the call. There's a lot of things that help you feel comfortable in terms of being able to call plays. As an offensive coordinator, he understands those things and does a good job.
Kirby, I was a little bit curious about what was your reaction when you saw that the MLB All-Star Game was being moved, and is there any concern that this could affect other events like the SEC Championship or National Championship coming, in years to come?
Yeah, I try my best to keep my head down and continue to work on our team and what we have to deal with our players. And I certainly worry about the mental state of our players and, like I talked about before, the ability to have safe space and open conversations. But I don't get into the political side of it.
Got time for 2 more questions? 2 more questions. Anyone?
Kirby, you mentioned special teams. How did they do today? And as a whole, how have they done thus far?
It hadn't been, it's hard for me to say. I don't think we kicked field goals as well as we can. I think Pod can kick with a little more consistency and Jake as well. But, punting, I think Jake punted the ball well today. We didn't get many opportunities to return the ball, which is frustrating. But punters nowadays they've got so much better. They can kick the ball away from you. They can hold the ball. They can rugby to keep you from being able to return it. It's just hard to get punt return opportunities. And we didn't get many today because Jake skies them and bombs them and corner kicks them, and you got good guys covering them. So that was tough. But I do think that we can do a little better job on field goals in terms of consistency, and we're trying to improve that.
Kirby, how are the relatively inexperienced cornerbacks holding up in these kind of scrimmage situations, out on an island when they are?
Mark, that's hard to answer. What do you mean? Do you want to know a percentage win? Do you want to know, ask me a more specific question. How are they holding up? Do they win some? Yes. Do they lose some? Yes.
How would you assess?
I don't know how to answer that question.
How would you assess their progress halfway through the spring?
I would assess that we have to get better. We are not where we need to be. Maybe that answers your question. We're not where we need to be in terms of defensive back play.
Thanks.
All right. Thanks, Coach Smart. Thanks.